Welcome back to Interview Ninja. This is step 34, and we are continuing with the soft skill of value chain analysis. It's a practical skill which we sometimes call AFI, Applied Functional Intelligence. In this session, we drill down deeper into what separates each link of the value chain.
Distributing music.
Just music?
And music and podcasts, as far as I'm aware.
Is there a visual element to what
No.
Spotify do?
No.
Okay, so they're about sound and
They're
music.
about sound.
Okay,
They have album covers, but again,
talk about that.
well, that is a visual element. That is a visual element, but you don't. That comes with a song, doesn't it? That's enticed in the.
Well, no, if you're the songwriter, you probably didn't do an album cover.
Okay.
Look at Alexander's books here. He didn't do the covers.
I'm sure the person who makes the covers for albums is a player in themselves. But if we're talking about Spotify, the only visual element that they have is an album cover.
Okay.
The rest of it's audio.
So, using his example, Spotify is just a single link in a value chain, and I'm going to try and help Corben see the bigger picture, because very often there are really good business and personal opportunities both before and after a given link in the value chain.
Audio.
So you as a consumer pull up a Spotify app or something on your
Spotify
phone
app.
Does it have got pictures of the album?
Yes.
The
album cover.
Do you think that image is important? Does it influence the buyer, or are they kind of 99% driven by knowing what they want to buy? The sound.
Now you're getting down to why and how people make album covers. This isn't Spotify specific. iTunes will have to do this. Any audio streaming website will have to do this. So
in the value chain, producing an album cover visually.
I'm not saying it's low down, because it doesn't.
Let's not judge it. Is it worth calling a link in the value chain?
I would say no.
Not worth calling it.
In terms of what I think you're about to talk to me about. No.
What I'm looking to is exploring business opportunities and career opportunities and skill areas and the nature of the market.
Okay, well then in the whole world of music, then yes, someone who makes an album cover is in the value chain, but
thinking about a whole industry as a value chain takes practice. Sometimes realizing where the separate links are and exactly what they do requires critical and analytical thinking. Corben is struggling to unpick the different functions and processes involved. Using 5W2H can help analyze. That's who, what, why, when, where, how, and how much. And going through those questions in your mind may help you unpick what's going on and finding the separate links, and at the same time finding missing links and opportunities.
I'd say that's from an artist.
Yeah, not as a musician. But they're a player in the market.
Yes.
Okay, so because what value chain analysis does is it looks at the market as a whole, and then it also looks at the skills and resources necessary to be a player in the market. It's the two kind of aspects of it.
Do you not find that there's often too many players to analyze in order to work your way around the market? So what the point of the value chain analysis is to analyze the players in the market. No, see who the
No. The value chain analysis is a top-down industry analytical tool.
Yes.
To see where the opportunities might be. for an individual or a business.
Okay.
So you as an individual wanting to have a career or a life or spend some time in the music business. If you can analyze where your key strengths are and where the barriers to entry are, you can say, well, that's feasible for me. I could potentially make a career or have a life as a composer or a producer or an album cover maker or an agent for multiple artists. Let's just drill down really specifically now. And this is related to you, but and are we all right technically? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We're all good technically.
Okay. Well, let's make it real. Let's make it real. You've got a band.
I've got a band.
Yeah. There's other people with you in the band.
2 others.
Okay. And you've got some kind of contract arrangement. You've been signed up to a record company.
Yes, of sorts.
Well, okay, so they're players as well. So as we stand now, you're a player. You make music, you create music. You don't do visuals as such, like album covers. You don't.
Yeah.
You haven't. Have you done any videos with your music
yes,
yet?
at the moment, because until you get to the point where you can hire or someone hires these other players to do these things for you, I have to make the album covers and I have to make the videos.
Okay, but you're doing that.
Yes.
Okay, so you're composing, you're performing, you're doing visuals, and you're recording video. Okay, those are 4 elements where somebody else might be a player.
Yes.
But you're doing all 4. Because someone might write a song, and someone else may do the lyrics, and then find someone else to perform it.
I'm doing all 4 because I want it to materialize, and at the moment, I wouldn't have the resources. Plus, I wouldn't want to get someone else to do one of those things for me.
Fine. So if we look, when you do a value chain analysis, if you look at each element of what you're doing, because as you move on, let's hope you become more successful. You may say, well, I'm going to focus on composition and ask someone else to write my lyrics for me, or you may team up with someone else. Just as in a band, someone plays the drums and someone does the guitar, bass, and lead. Yeah. That's a kind of team effort. So what we're doing now is we're exploring the value chain. So, I wanted to talk about your record company, people you've signed with. Okay.
Yes.
Who are they? How do they add value to what you do? We've already established you compose, you do this, you do this, and that. So now,
tell you about it.
Well, how do they add value? What do they bring to you that makes you more successful, or do they just give you money?
They do give us money to put towards it. They pay for us to rehearse in studio spaces and practice so we can keep playing. They pay for us to record music. And then they help us distribute it ourselves. So that the catch with them, which is different from Sony, say.
Be careful of the words you choose. I don't like the word catch. It's NLP wise, it's got a bit of a negative. So
well, it is a bit of a negative.
Okay.
Hence why I use the word.
Right.
Because if this was a record deal, they would take me in and they would do what you were talking about, which is I'd do the music and they'd do the rest. But this is a kind of a youth program record deal where they take us in and they try and help us along the way so that when we stop being with them, we know how to do it ourselves.
Right.
So I'm making the album cover, I'm making the video, they'll help me record the music, then they teach me how to distribute.
How do they help you record the music?
Because they help me record the music because they pay for someone to set up all the microphones and to press record whilst I play in a fancy place with some fancy equipment.
Okay. We need to start talking a little bit about help and enablement and resources. Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to make you defensive. I want you to start clarifying
the specifics
in
of
the value
words that I
chain.
use.
Yeah.
Okay. They enable me to record music.
Do they pay you every time you go into the studio?
No.
Okay.
They pay for us to go to the studio.
To have no, not to go to have access to.
To have access to the studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's a difference.
Yes. Okay.
If every time you went to the studio they gave you £100, that's different to saying we booked. You can go there for 10 hours, as and when you want to.
They pay for
it's
us
getting a bit fine, but it's
to have access to the studio,
right? And
they pay for us to have access to recording equipment to enable us to record our music.
Okay, so this is what value chain analysis is all about. Okay, because what we're coming down to there is a thing called resources. So the record company, which we may or may not name, it doesn't matter. If indeed it is a record company as such, okay. So people you're signed to, the organisation can offer you time in a studio as a resource. So they control that resource.
Control of and access to resources are key elements in value chain analysis. When you are thinking of working in a particular activity, you will need to consider what resources are involved and who owns them. Will you have unrestricted access to what you need, or will there be barriers and additional costs? These are called barriers to entry and obviously costs. And we're moving here into OPR, OPT and OPM, which is other people's resources, other people's time, and other people's money, which we cover several times during these courses.
And it's a valuable resource, which would otherwise cost you yay many £100.
Yes.
Whatever. Okay. So what other resources have they made available to you?
As we help Corben and yourself develop all 4 of your intelligence types, this session on value chain analysis falls right there in the middle of this diagram. It's a practical soft skill and very helpful to identify and analyze opportunities. Whatever industry you're thinking of working in and whatever kind of job role, you can find value chain analysis is really helpful to guide you towards spending your valuable time and going for the right interviews that will help you get the job you want and you'll enjoy.